Welcome to Anchored Not Anxious. This is where you discover anchoring practices for anxiety and worry, gain a deep trust in God, and develop an internal peace by living off His Word. I'm Terry Hutchinson, your host. In the beginning, the earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep waters. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And God saw that the light was good. This comes from Genesis chapter 1, verses 1 to 3. In the beginning, I remember, my body felt like 1,000 pounds. Movement exhausted me. Slowly, so slowly, my physical strength flowed far from my muscles. I remember the frustration. Testing that revealed nothing, and the questions insinuating it was in my head. I remember the anger. My prayers demanded an abnormal result or a return of better health. I insisted on God's intervention because my current state was unacceptable. I wanted to know what happened to me. I had to find a reason. I obsessed over it, even though I recognized testing options were running out and doctors were eliminating diseases and syndromes. A last-ditch effort brought me to the Mayo in Rochester, Minnesota. After a boatload of testing, I realized, before being told, there would be no diagnosis. The one thing I needed from God, He would not provide: a diagnosis. In the blink of an eye, my frustration, anger, and will to pursue an answer metamorphosed into a gut-wrenching anguish. I knew what I needed, and instead, I felt God handed me despair. Despair because weakness and fatigue scared me. Despair over the loss physically and personally. Those around me either fled or supported from afar. Despair because of being a burden to my husband. Despair over maybe being bedridden in the future. Visions of being unable to bathe or toilet. In that Minnesota hotel, internal darkness closed in. I felt fear, agony, emptiness filling my heart. My stomach nauseous, my chest tightened. I was utterly alone in this anguish that made every nerve raw. The evening before we were to have our final meeting with the neurology team, we visited a bookstore adjacent to the hotel. There, I found a book by James Dobson titled, "When God Doesn't Make Sense." As I flipped through the chapters, I noticed the title, Acceptance or Despair. I purchased the book wondering if it could give me any hope. As I read that chapter, I found stories of people in fiery trials, and the message boiled down to this: faith in God, trust in God saves you. Exert your will as if your life depends on it, because acceptance saves you from despair. I remember putting the book down and feeling nauseous all over again. That's it. When God doesn't make sense, I need to choose acceptance over despair. I sobbed. The chase after a diagnosis had led me to despair. To continue, the chase would take me farther in, but acceptance? Isn't acceptance pretending I'm okay with where I'm at? Do you, God, want me to just surrender and give up a desire to get better? Genesis 1, verse 1 to 3. In the beginning, the earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep waters. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light." And God saw that the light was good. Despair's emptiness and darkness blinded me to God hovering so close. Only the path of acceptance and trust could bring light into the darkness. In the light, you find God. What is acceptance? It might be the most difficult decision you ever make. It's asking, seeking God and others for help with the anguish, distress, anxiety. It's surrendering the need to know and the why. Why did this happen? That is so hard. Acceptance is broadening your viewfinder, stepping back from a telephoto view. Acceptance casts light onto what God is doing in you, where and when He's moving, and who and what He is providing. So what does acceptance look like? It's a process of living moment to moment, hour to hour, day to day. It's a daily commitment to trust God with uncertainty. It's increasing peace where there was none. And acceptance is relinquishing the returning questions, doubts, anger, and anguish. At the Mount of Olives in the Garden of Gethsemane, we are given an image of acceptance. Jesus asked His Father to take away the cup of suffering, the intense, fiery wrath of God that Jesus was to endure so we might be reconciled to God. It was a gut-wrenching, blood-sweat decision. Jesus had to make a choice to accept the cup before Him, given by God His Father. God knows an unanswered prayer or question can trap you in an ever-deepening sinkhole. Its depth can obscure light so desperately needed. In the midst of chronic sorrow, relapsing anguish, or the darkness of despair, God provides a beacon and His strength lifting you up and out. In the sinkhole, the critical moment for you and me is whether we will choose acceptance. I could not trust God as I do today without plummeting into the darkness. And God felt it sufficient that I not be given a diagnosis, just a few vague possibilities. 6 months, 6 long months of intensive therapy got me to a point that I could function, and the 2 years after that, I regained most of my physical abilities. I'm stuck with some neurological issues, and that's quite okay. It prompts gratitude and a remembrance of a time God's presence led me out of the darkness and into His light. Your acceptance of the problem or concern tells God you believe He's aware, in control, and taking care of the matter. Acceptance says I trust God more than I trust what I can see or feel. Never, ever will you hear me say trusting God is easy. Your trust is challenged every day because you live in a sinful world. Ask the Lord to strengthen your trust in Him and make that trust an anchor that you embed into God. Well, thank you for listening. I hope this story gives you hope, and please share it with someone who might need this hope. You can find me on Facebook and on YouTube. Catch the videos there. And as always, I would love for you to subscribe to the Anchored Not Anxious Care Letter. It comes in your inbox twice a month and is filled with helpful, practical strategies and encouragement. You can find the link at the bottom of the podcast episode. All right, until next time.